Welcome Camp Nightmare is the 9th Goosebumps book in the original series, and overall it's a pretty good camp book. It's not my favorite camp book. I prefer Horror at Camp Jelly Jam and Creature Teacher the Final Exam and all that stuff, but still, Welcome Camp Nightmare is a pretty decent camp book from the Goosebumps original series. And there are a few problems with it I do have, though, and one of the biggest things is the twist in the end of the story, which we will be talking about in this video. It's a very strange twist. Not really a big fan of it. It's just kind of all of a sudden in your face. And I don't really like that twist too much. If they just stuck with not doing that twist, then I think this book would have been really great. Probably one of the best camp books in the Goosebumps series. If not already, it is, but it would have been a whole lot better if that twist just did not exist. But anyway, guys, as I said before, today we're going to be talking about this mysterious twist that happens in Welcome Camp Nightmare. And I'm going to be telling you how that entire twist is actually a fake. And so anyway, guys, with this video does come spoilers, though, for Welcome to Camp Nightmare, the 9th Goosebumps book in the original series. And also we're going to be having some, I guess, medium to minor spoilers for a story from Even More Tales to Give You Goosebumps, and that is The Perfect School. I'm not really going to be spoiling it, but I'm going to be saying that a situation in The Perfect School is a similar situation to what I'm going to be talking about in this video. So, you know, there could be some sort of spoilers for that without actually spoiling the story itself, if you know what I mean. I'm just sort of spoiling the situation that I think is happening in this theory that happened in the book The Perfect School, and I'm going to be referencing The Perfect School as a similar situation to it. I know that sounded a little complicated, but that's sort of what I mean. Basically, I'm going to be spoiling the story, but not really at the same time. I'm not really sure, but I thought I just wanted for spoilers for that. Also, we're going to be having some sort of medium-sized spoilers. No, not even medium. Minor spoilers for Goosebumps Presents Welcome to Camp Nightmare. This is really just the episode in a story. So, really, if you've seen the episode, then you should be fine for this. And even if you haven't seen the episode and just read the book, again, it'll be pretty much fine to watch this video. I'm just saying that there's a minor spoiler I'm going to be saying in the story, but nothing huge. But anyway, guys, I've been spending a bit too much of a long time talking about this theory, so let's get to the main topic of this video, and that is Welcome to Camp Nightmare and how the twist is all a fake. But before I continue, I just want to say I'm sorry about not uploading for about 2 weeks. That's my bad. I've just been a little busy these last couple of days. I did come up with one theory, but then when I thought about it on the day I was supposed to make the video, it didn't really make much sense, so I can do a whole new theory. And so that's kind of my excuse for not making a video for 2 weeks, and plus there's been a lot of occasions going on right now, so I'm really sorry about that. But anyway, I'm already 3 minutes into this video, so let's get to the main topic, and that is Welcome to Camp Nightmare. So pretty much in Welcome to Camp Nightmare, our main protagonist, Billy, basically goes to this camp called Camp Night Moon, and it's a very strange camp. There's no nurses there and everything like that, and all of the campers there keep being put in dangerous situations. And like in one instance, one of the main protagonist's friends, can't really remember his name, but he was bit by a snake. In another instance, the kid was hit in the head with the baseball. In another instance, one of the campers is basically ripped apart by this beast that supposedly lives in the camp called Saber. And there's just all this crazy stuff going on throughout the story. 2 kids drown. And the weird thing that's going on all through this is that the camp counselors do not seem to care. And even in some instances, they say that that camper does not exist in the first place. And so as you could obviously see, the main protagonist is freaking out about this. You know, all the other campers are disappearing, and he's just trying to figure out what's going on. And so he's, you know, again, trying to figure out what's going on. And in one instance in the story, he finds all the letters that he had been sending to his parents all in this little bag. And so that adds to the mystery of the story and everything like that. And so eventually he meets one of the kids from a neighboring camp that's basically Camp Night Moon for girls. And she says that the camp is evil and they have to escape from it and everything like that. And so this is sort of reaffirmed later on when the camp counselor, main camp counselor really, Uncle Al, comes in with a bunch of crossbows, and basically he wants them to find one of the girls that escaped from the girl camp, basically tranquilize them with these crossbows. And so he gives one to the main protagonist, and basically he wants him to follow the rules and attack her. But the main protagonist refuses, and he shoots Uncle Al instead with the supposed like neutralizer gun sort of thing, or crossbow. I'm sorry about that. But anyway, this leads it to being revealed that the main protagonist, Billy, passed a sort of test. And this is the sort of twist that I was talking about previously in the video. Basically, it is revealed that the main protagonist and everyone in this book are aliens. And they're currently exploring Earth. And that includes the main protagonist's parents, who are explorers. And so usually they're away from their son and everything like that. And so they want to bring Billy with them on one of their trips and exploration trips, basically on Earth, or on Earth, but Earth is a dangerous planet. So they have to get this Billy to pass this test, which he does. And it's the whole entire events of Welcome to Camp Nightmare, because he listens to orders when he's supposed to, and when it doesn't seem right, he doesn't listen to orders, I guess. And so pretty much that is the story of Welcome to Camp Nightmare. And again, I say the twist is a little creepy. Not creepy, I'm sorry about that, but a little crazy. And I'm not really sure if I like the twist that much. It's fine, but I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of the twist that happens in the end of this story. And so, pretty much again, that's Welcome to Camp Nightmare. And what leads me to believe, though, that this whole twist in the end is a fake. And there's actually quite a lot of evidence to prove that this whole entire camp thing, revealing the twist and everything, is a fake. And like one of the biggest pieces of evidence to prove this is how all the campers come back in the end, and how most of the instances in the story really couldn't be acted out. And you can see this first in all the campers disappearing. Supposedly all the campers in the end were just actors, and they came out and they looked perfectly fine and everything like that, but I'm not really sure how they could be perfectly fine. Like that instance when one of the kids gets bit by a snake. They can't really fake that. I think in the Goosebumps Presents thing, they offered up the excuse that that snake was a rubber snake, but that doesn't really make much sense, especially since the kids who got bit by a snake's arm got swollen. You could say that this is makeup, but keep in mind, I think he had a cast on the whole time, and the main protagonist, Billy, was taking care of him and all that stuff for a majority of the time. I don't think there's an instance where he just left him behind, and they had the ability to apply makeup. So it's really weird that the main protagonist, or the kid who got bit by a snake's arm, should be swollen. If he was just an actor, that wouldn't really make much sense. So how could that kid who got bit by a snake be swollen? Also, in another instance in the story, one of the kids gets hit in the head by a baseball bat. Not a baseball bat, but a baseball. I'm sorry about that, guys. But basically, this kid gets hit in the head with a baseball. And that also doesn't really make much sense either. Because how could they fake that? They even went into detail in the story about the cracking sound that happened when the kid's head got hit by the baseball. And I'm not really sure how they could fake that. I guess they sort of could, but the helmet is damaged, and I'm not really sure. That just doesn't really make much sense. Also, there's the thing in the scene where the kids drown. Also, I find it hard for them to fake that, because the main protagonist goes down in the water and searches for them, and I'm not really sure how he cannot be able to find them. Maybe the water was murky or something, but I'm not really sure how they could be able to escape. And also, it would seem just a whole big waste of money for this whole Welcome to Camp Nightmare thing. Because, just think about it. We have these actors who are children and all that stuff, and just, it's kind of strange, because if those actors slip up, then this whole Welcome to Camp Nightmare thing is all just a waste of time, because they need really good actors all over the place. They can't mess up once. And I'm not really sure how this could happen. I mean, at least one time they'd have to mess up, and it seems like they would constantly have to change the camp, just judging from like the Dutch cover art for Welcome to Camp Nightmare, in which there's a bug instead of, you know, something else. And so I find that a little strange how they couldn't just have to change the camp every single time, you know, just to match it, because again, these guys could just tell someone else about it and everything like that. So I'm not really sure it makes much sense for these actors to be there. It'd be a total waste of money, and they would have to completely change the whole area just in case someone tells someone else about this whole Welcome Camp Night Moon thing, and they'll have to completely change it. And again, the acting thing that I talked about before, and as you can see, I'm already 10 minutes into this video, there's a whole lot of problems with this. And there's even the thing with Saber. So supposedly in the story, I don't think the main protagonist ever comes face to face with Saber. And so this might mean that, you know, it was just fake, the howls that they heard in the woods, or just, you know, howls made by a sound thing or whatever. But then you take a look at the cover art for Welcome to Camp Nightmare. And basically, in that cover art, you can see Saber. And basically, you know, he's opening the camp tent, trying to get inside. And even in the reprint cover art, you can see this. And pretty much in every cover art for Welcome to Camp Nightmare, except maybe the British one or something like that. But in all of it, you can see Saber. And in the episode, I think they did make him an animatronic. But in the book, they never actually visibly see Saber, or at least the main protagonist doesn't. Which I find kind of odd. So they couldn't build an animatronic because that would have been a total waste of money. But even if they did, they can't really use an animatronic to do that. And the most biggest piece of evidence to see this is in the Goosebumps film. And in the Goosebumps film, you can see Saber, not in the Goosebumps film, but in the second draft script for the Goosebumps film, Saber was set to appear. How could it even be physically possible for Saber to appear in that if he's a fake? Even if he's just a false animatronic, like in the episode, that would have been a total waste of money. In the book universe, at least, it wouldn't really make that much sense for Saber to be in there. Because if he was an animatronic, or if he was a robot, or if he wasn't even used at all, how could he be sucked out of Welcome Camp Nightmare? You could say this is the Horror Town Saber from Goosebumps Horror Town, but that wouldn't make much sense either, because of this, and that is the fact that Horror Town Saber never actually appeared in a Goosebumps book. And this Saber supposedly sucked right out of Welcome to Camp Nightmare, meaning that Saber is real. He is real physically on this planet in Welcome to Camp Nightmare. Further proof meaning that this camp in Welcome to Camp Nightmare is actually real. And so I think I've said enough evidence already. I think there's a bit more that I'm forgetting, but as far as I think, that's all of the evidence I have to disprove the fact that this ending doesn't exist. But you might say the evidence to disprove this is the fact that, you know, the children appear who supposedly died, do appear at the end of the book. And even the main protagonists do appear, or the main protagonist's parents do appear at the end of the story. Further meaning that, you know, maybe, just maybe, this camp is real. But I would say this is actually a situation very similar to The Perfect School. And so, basically, I think that the main protagonist and a bunch of other unruly kids, or just other kids in general, are sent to this camp that will make them better, or something like that. And they go there, and basically, slowly, the camp basically kills off each of the children that disobey them, or disobey the rules, or something like that. I don't know, this may not seem that very likely, since some of the kids who disappeared never actually didn't obey the rules, but just think about it. In one of the scenes where the main protagonist, one of the main protagonist's friends forget a life vest or something like that, may be confused with the TV episode, but they fall and drown when they disobey safety guidelines. Also, in another scene, the children, two of the children go to the forbidden bunk, and one of them disappears. And so basically, what I think's going on is that they're in this place like the perfect school. If you've read the book, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, then, you really don't. But there's really not that much or not really, I'm sorry about that. Basically, that much you need to know to understand this. Basically, I think they're slowly getting rid of them and replacing them with other perfecter and better children. And they are getting killed by real life stuff, like they're being drowned. They're actually getting hit in the head by baseball bats and everything like that, or baseballs. I keep confusing baseballs and base bats. Sorry about that. But you see what I mean. There's all this crazy stuff going on, and it's impossible to be faked. So it has to be real, but then the children appear at the end of the story. And as a whole, I would say this has to be a perfect school situation. Basically, they built robots or clones of those children who died and replaced them with perfecter versions of them. And that makes a whole lot of sense in my personal opinion. I just really think that does. And it will explain a lot of mysteries that are in this book, if that is the case, like how the parents appear at the end. And even in the scene where the main protagonist finds the whole letter thing, must mean that it most likely is something similar to the perfect school. Because those letters could be used to draw out personal information. I don't really know if it's in the story, but recently I did read Goosebumps Presents version of Welcome Camp Nightmare, and one of the rules at the camp is to write letters every day, which seems kind of odd. And why would the camp even do this? The camp counselors even enforce this law at the camp if they didn't have a use for it. Because if this is just a government test site, then why would they want them to write letters every day? Wouldn't that just waste paper? You know what I mean? And they keep it. Why don't they burn it or something like that? And so as a whole, I think this means that it's something similar to the perfect school. Because if they write letters every day, they would be able to draw personal information. As I sort of said, in the perfect school, basically, they do sort of the same thing. Without getting into too much spoilers, for the perfect school, basically, at this school, they slowly try to draw personal information from you by doing all these test things and all of that stuff. And I think it's a very similar situation in Welcome to Camp Nightmare. I think that maybe, just maybe, these letters are drawing all the personal information out of the main protagonist and everything like that, and basically using that personal information to build clones of these people. And that's how you see them in the end of the story. That's how you see the parents at the end of the story. And the reason I think Billy is still alive, not turned into a robot, is because he followed the rules and is a perfect child or something like that. And so thus they don't need to do the whole robot thing. But I don't know, that's my personal opinion. It does sound a little crazy, but the whole camp thing is sort of disproven. And I think this is the most likely option there is. I do have another option that I kind of just thought about. Maybe Billy is going crazy at this camp, and so he's thinking that all these people are disappearing, but really they didn't exist in the first place, like what the camp counselors have been saying. I don't know, just a little quick thing that I'm throwing out there, but comment down below what you think, guys. Do you think that, Camp Nightmare is sort of a similar thing to the perfect school? Or do you think it is something like Billy's losing his mind, like I sort of mentioned not too long ago? Or do you think it is a government test site? And so anyway, guys, tell me what you think in the comment section below. But anyway, guys, that's the end of my video. And I'm so sorry again about not uploading for about 2 weeks. But anyway, that's the end of my video, and I hope you enjoyed.